What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Diesel Creek. My name is Matt. Behind me, this big beauty I just brought home here. This is a Kobelco SK250 LC that I just picked up for a honey of a deal. Now be sure you're sitting down when I tell you this, but I didn't actually need this machine. But by God, some deals are just too good to pass up. But we'll get into the details in just a minute here, but first we have to get that other bucket off of my truck. So what is this thing? Of course it's an excavator. I assume most of you know that. But this is just one of those deals that I could not pass up. I went there to look at a much smaller machine, and what they were asking for the much smaller machine was not a terrible price, but the machine needed a lot more work than I really wanted to put into it. I knew it wasn't in the best shape, but it was in pretty poor condition. Every seal and cylinder was leaking on it. All the pins and bushings were pretty well clapped out on it. It looked like the electrical system was a nightmare on it. There was a pile of blown fuses in the cup holder in the cab. So I just for giggles asked him about this machine while I was standing there, and he told me what he had to have for it, and I said sold. There's no way I was passing this thing up. So it's a Kobelco SK250 LC, and it is a 56,000 pound machine. Now it's quite a bit bigger than my other excavator. The other excavator only comes in at 18,000. So this is a pretty good sized girl. This is getting into well into your full-size excavator class. I don't know all the specs off the top of my head, but it'll do anything I need to do around here. It is a little bit banged up, but really not too bad for the year. I think it's a 2006 model. Somebody didn't favor the counterweight too well. Let's Dig 18 is going to have an absolute heart attack when he sees that counterweight. But that's one of the things that's on the list I'd like to fix up on this thing. Maybe over the summer we'll get to it. But other than that, the bucket's pretty tight, the boom's tight. None of the cylinders are really dripping or anything. They're all pretty dry. But the trouble with saying that is that this thing's been sitting for 10 years at least. So the guy told me it's been sitting down at their shop for like 5 years, and before that it sat on another job site for like 5 years and never really got used. So that's not the best thing for them. Sitting is never good on a machine like this, but there are worse things, I guess. The undercarriage is in pretty good shape. Track pads are great. Chains, they have a little teeny bit of wear up on the chains there, but not too bad. The sprockets though, that's where the wear is at. The sprockets are definitely, I'd say the sprockets are probably at 50%. They will work. I'm not going to replace those. It'd be a while before I'd wear those out, but that is the worst part of the undercarriage. It tracks fine. I tracked it down the road here to get it here because the tractor trailer couldn't come down my road. So I tracked it almost a mile, I think. And it did just fine. This, of course, is the dirt bucket for it. This is just for hogging dirt and materials and whatever else. It measures 56 inches from outside to outside, but yeah, it's a pretty good sized bucket. I really wish I had this machine a couple weeks ago when I did all the clearing in here. That could have been done much quicker with a machine this size. So let's take a look inside the cab. The cab is not the best on it. The cab's kind of rough. Stuff like this, the door rubber, you know, it's got little metal tabs that are supposed to be anchored in there and they're broken off. So that's something we'll have to fix up. The door gaskets, you know, they kind of like shrunk or something. I don't know. But you can see they're not where they're supposed to be. The windows are filthy. The whole thing is covered in lichen and mildew. So a few hours with a pressure washer and this thing is going to look 10 times better right off the bat. But in here we got the seat is pretty well tattered up, but you know, still pretty comfortable. The foam's not falling apart too bad. Seat back, not much better shape. The headrest is back there behind the seat, I saw. So this has a JB Hendricks quick coupler on it, so you should theoretically be able to swap out the buckets pretty darn quick. My other machine has a quick coupler as well. They're definitely handy to have. This one, however, doesn't seem to be working. I tried to swap buckets before we threw that big one on the back of my truck. I only wanted to put the little one on the back of the truck, but I couldn't get it to come off, so we'll have to look into that. It's probably something stupid. The whole system appears to be intact. I don't know why it's not working. Could have been just froze for all I know. I think the windshield was actually just replaced before they parked this machine. There doesn't seem to be a scratch on this thing. Like, you know, usually you use the wipers on a job site and all the dust and grit from the wiper actually leaves scratches into the window and you can see where it's been run. I don't think I can see any scratches at all on it. And the other reason I think it's been replaced is because there is busted glass all through the cab here. Glass everywhere. So the cab definitely needs a good scrub down. I'm gonna have to rip the floor mat out of it and get all the dirt and glass and everything vacuumed out. You can see this thing's been sitting so long, there's actually moss growing here inside the cab. You know, it's been a while. The other thing I noticed in the cab in here is that there's moisture getting down into this window ledge or something, and it's actually starting to rot out the window frame, so we'll have to figure out how the water is getting in and seal that up. What's this thing got for hours on it? 6,966.4 hours. So right at 7,000 hours, you might as well say. And really, that's not a tremendous amount for a machine like this. My other machine has just over 7,000 hours and it still runs great, and this one will run great. We'll get into that in a second. The real thing I'm excited about in this machine, and I haven't tried it out yet to see if it even works, but that button right there, air conditioning, baby. Man, my other machine gets sweltering hot in the summertime. There's no AC. I'm not positive what all these buttons even do yet. I gotta figure all that stuff out. I know what some of them do, so we'll have to download a manual, I guess, for this. It's got a radio in it over here. Got a radio in it over here. I haven't tried it yet either to see if it works. And I know the cab's got a whole bunch of crap behind the seat here that we're gonna have to dig through. Like that bag of peanuts. Yeah, those are probably fine. They're still editable, right? You guys hungry? Yeah, I'm not eating those. So we can get rid of the peanuts. What else is back here? All those little compartments full of bucket pin keepers. Those are nice to have. And, you know, other miscellaneous junk. A broken headlight laying down there. The cab needs a good deep cleaning. This bungee's been sitting in the window so long. Did you guys see all the green dust? Looks like a chalk line just snapped right there. And look at that. That window actually opens. That's pretty cool. I don't think I've ever seen one of these open in a machine like this. I don't know why you'd want to sit there and listen to the engine noise, but I guess it's nice to get some air moving sometimes. Speaking of the engine, let's go check that out. Another reason you can tell this machine's sat for quite a while, moss frozen down here in the turntable. A good bit of it. The hoses don't look too bad though. I don't see any big cracks or dry rot in those. So hopefully we don't have to replace any for a while. In here's the battery compartment. I did have to throw some batteries in it as it did not come with any. We'll get those tied down better. They're just sitting in there right now. Let's see, it was very cold this morning and I could not pull this dipstick out. Check the swing drive oil. Oh, I still can't get it out of there. That's odd. Back here we have the engine, of course. So back here in the engine compartment, we have a Mitsubishi 6-cylinder diesel, which I really don't know anything about these engines, so if you know anything about them, let me know. But I'm sure you could hear it doesn't sound too hot. Like it sounds like it's missing really bad and not running smoothly. What that actually is there's a giant crack in the exhaust manifold down there. Hopefully you can see, but we're losing all of our boost pressure that way, so all the pressure that should be going into the turbo and making this thing more power, we're losing it, and it's just blowing soot all over the place. So that's priority numero uno here to fix. So we're gonna fix that, and we'll have to do a complete service because according to the computer screen in there, we're just past due, like 6 hours past due on an engine oil change and a hydraulic oil change and everything else. So we're gonna have to do a complete service for this thing. I'm gonna get all the numbers today. And what else? Yeah, I'm pretty excited about it. This is a serious machine. This will get some work done around here. So right here is a fuel tank. I don't know how many gallons it holds, but I'm guessing about 60 or 80. And I think we're rated about a quarter tank right now, but man, it just smells like rancid old diesel fuel. So I did squirt some in there just to be sure I had enough to get out the road when I tracked it out here. But definitely gonna look into draining some of that out of there and making sure we don't have any algae growing in it or water or anything like that. And of course be doing fuel filters when we do a complete service. This guy over here is a hydraulic oil tank. And apparently that's some sort of pressure relief valve. I don't rightly know why that's there, but it is. So we got this door here is pretty well caved in. This is one thing I see a lot with Kobelcos. It seems like their engine cover panels or pump cover panels or whatever you want to call this. The doors on their machines are not super rigid. So, I mean, a small tree limb could have done all that damage for all I know. The point is the operator should be more careful, but I can't say that I've never dented any panels myself. It happens. Back here I noticed when I was looking at it before I bought it was that obviously there was some sort of huge hornet's nest grown in back here. You can tell it was taking up quite a bit of real estate there. This is our hydraulic oil sight glass, and it's actually right near where it's supposed to be, and doesn't look like it's super cloudy or anything, so that's a good sign. This is the main hydraulic pump here. It's runs every function on this machine, so if something like that goes out, that's a bad day. But doesn't seem to be leaking anywhere. I see these couple hoses up here are just a little bit wet, so we'll have to look into that a bit better and figure out what's going on there. All these other lines look pretty good. You know, like looking at this, it looks like it's all cracked up, but it's actually not. It's all just paint. You know, they painted right over these things and the lines flex and the paint cracks. But we'll try to do some body work and maybe bend this thing back into a little bit better presentable shape. And again, just blasting all the lichen and moss off of this thing is going to make it look 10 times better. Underside of the machine here in the same area also bent up a little bit, and just like the top side, they just look a little bit thin down here. All these plates, you know, Caterpillar, those are quarter, maybe even 3/8 thick plates. They'll take a lot more abuse. What happens a lot of time that those get bent up is you'll be working in a tight area and you'll get some material piled up on your tracks, specifically bigger rocks, and sometimes you won't notice it, and you'll swing and it'll actually push up underneath the machine here. Over here in this door, well, let me shut the cab door first. So another easy way to see it's been sitting quite a while is the stickers are all flaking and peeling off, and that seems to only happen when they sit right in the sunlight or something. In here we've got our radiator. So we got 3 layers here. We got this thing is for the AC system. This guy is the intercooler for the turbo, and then back there is actually the main radiator for the engine. Another big pile of moss growing in here. That's great. Let's clean that out. Oh, almost a full can of starting fluid. I don't know if that's a good sign or not. The thing started decently this morning, and it was pretty cold. I didn't even preheat it because I didn't know how to preheat it at the time. I didn't read. But got our air cleaner in here and a nice lubrication chart. That's good. I'll be able to figure out what everything takes and how often it needs to take it. Let's pull this air cleaner out. Have a gander at that. What do you guys place your bets? Is it going to be packed with dirt, or is it going to be pretty clean? $68.50. Okay, that's a good sign. They changed this filter at 6,800 hours, and that was January of 2015. So here we are in the end of January 2022, and we're only at 6,900 hours. So what, they put 50, 60 hours on this machine in the last... I can't see in here super well, but the filter looks clean. Yeah, not too bad at all, I don't think. Yeah, look at that. That makes me feel better. The inside of the pleats are really clean, which is always what you really need to look at. The outside's always going to be a little bit dirty, but if the inside's dirty, then you know the filter's bad. Yeah, so hardly anything coming out of it. That's a good sign. We can put that back in there. So this panel is also dinged up and damaged a little bit, but yeah, a little bit of time with a 5-pound body hammer and we can have that looking pretty good again, I think. Overall, like I said, the machine is in pretty good shape, and for what I paid for it, I'm quite happy with it. So I think the quick coupler must have just been frozen this morning, because I was just playing around here with the camera off, and I tried it again and it seems to be working now. So let's go ahead and change this bucket out. I don't have a ton of use for a narrow bucket, but they are handy to have. 90% of the time I'll want that bulk bucket on there. All right, well, I'm really glad to see that coupler is actually working. I was worried that I was gonna have to troubleshoot that one. I've actually had some issue with the quick coupler that's on my Komatsu as well, so they'd both be on the list, but luckily enough, this one just started working. Sometimes you luck out. Well guys, I guess since we got the bulk material bucket on there, I guess a little test wouldn't hurt. I've actually got this pile of stuff right behind me here. There's busted up concrete, block, gravel, dirt, everything all mixed into it. And it's gonna be in my way here because right where the camera's sitting is somewhere, yeah, right about the corner of where my new shop's gonna be. So this pile needs to get out of the way so I can work in this area. So I'm just gonna relay it from right where it's at to pretty much where the rear end of the machine is sitting right now. And I think this thing's gonna make pretty quick work of it. Oh, and I can't let you guys listen, but I got the radio working, so man, things are really looking up here. diggity. She definitely needs a little bit of love, a little bit of TLC, and a little bit of deep cleaning. But guys, for $16,000, I don't think I could have gone wrong here. The machine seems to operate just fine. I got all the heater controls working in the cab. I got all the seat functions all sliding around. The radio works and plays nice and clear. The quick coupler works. There's no major leaks. I don't know that I would call this machine turnkey job site ready, but man, it won't take much. A complete service on this thing and fix up that exhaust manifold that's really robbing some power, and I think we're going to be ready. So as you can see, the old Kobelco made pretty quick work of that pile right there. There is still a little bit of gravel and a little bit of chunks of block and stuff mixed in here, but we're in the middle of a thaw right now, so I can come through here with the skid steer once it completely thaws out and clean that up a bit better. I don't want to gouge with that machine and get into the topsoil. There's definitely a learning curve with every excavator. Once you get a good bit of time on one, you can feel where you're at a lot better and do a lot better job in general. One of the reasons this machine's a bit clunky right now is I found that this bushing right down in here in that pivot section, it needs to be replaced. So we'll probably do pin and bushing on that guy. And I can't see it because I'm by myself. Maybe I'll be able to tell when I'm editing this, but it feels like there's some slop in that curl cylinder somewhere. So we'll have to check that out and figure out if we can figure out what's going on there. We'll figure out if we'll figure it out. Oh man. Anyways, hopefully we can see what's going on there and we'll be able to address that. Other than that, the only other slop in the whole boom is the side-to-side slop in the stick pin there, and we'll probably get some shims whenever we get the pin and bushing for that guy. So what's on our list here? We need a complete service, so there's a whole bunch of filters, numbers, and stuff that I wrote down, as well as fluid volumes and all that crap. We need pin and bushing for the curl, and then we're gonna need an exhaust manifold. We'll price one out, and if we can't we get one for cheap, we'll try to fix it first. And I think that's gonna be about it. I mean, this machine really is pretty tight for what it is. If you guys have any input on this machine, or you're familiar with the Kobelcos or that Mitsubishi engine, drop a comment down below. Let me know what you think or what you got going on in your head there. All right, guys, we got some bonus footage here for you. This is actually several days after I shot the video on the old 250 LC here. And we have had a pretty significant ice storm, so everybody's calling up and borrowing my reserve generators. I'm gonna keep at least one for myself here, but I've kind of got a horde of them, so people call me. And anyways, I'm just waiting around out at the farm out here, and I figured might as well throw some bonus footage in and give you guys a little cold start on the Kobelco here. I don't think we had one of those in this video, so what's a Diesel Creek video without a cold start? I'm thinking it's probably in the upper 20s right now. Everything is quite frozen. Man, I even oiled those hinges up the other day. It's just ice holding them up right now. Ugh. All right, so turn the key back to preheat. We'll let that go until it says that it's good. Look at that, finished preheat. All right, let's crank this thing. Contact. Man, I think I scored a diamond in the rough here. It's gonna need a little bit of polishing, but I don't think it's quite a turd. We get that exhaust manifold fixed, this thing's gonna sound great. Well guys, I guess that about wraps this one up. If you liked the video, do me a big favor, hit that thumbs up button down below. It really helps out the channel. It doesn't cost you guys a thing. And if you like my new big dirty hoe here, be sure you click that subscribe button so I can see you on the next video. I'm sure this thing's gonna be showing up in all kind of future content. So until the next time, thanks for watching. Catch you later.